The metallic rumble of my garage door sliced through the quiet Saturday morning. Sunlight spilled across the driveway, catching the sharp curves of the midnight blue sports car parked inside. I had just driven it home the night before, still, buzzing with excitement. It wasn't just any car, it was a gift from my brother, Matthew, a mechanic who had spent years rebuilding it from the ground up. My dream car since high school, sitting right in front of me, gleaming like a jewel. I was still admiring the polished hood when a shrill voice shattered the calm. "There it is! That's my car!" I spun around. Charging down the sidewalk in slippers was Karen, the HOA president, self-proclaimed neighborhood watch captain, and full-time chaos generator. Her phone was plastered to her ear, her free hand waving wildly like she was directing a SWAT raid. "What are you talking about?" I asked, stepping out of the garage. "You! You stole my brand new Lexus." I saw. "You drive it in last night." I blinked in disbelief. "This isn't even a Lexus. It's a Pontiac." But Karen wasn't hearing it. She doubled down, her voice climbing into full-blown hysteria. "Yes, officer. He's in the garage right now. Come quickly." My stomach dropped. In this neighborhood, a call from Karen wasn't just annoying, it was dangerous. She had influence with the HOA board, was chummy with every patrol cop in the area, and absolutely thrived on public spectacle. "Karen, you're making a mistake," I said, keeping my voice steady. "I can prove this is mine." But she was already pacing like a newscaster, narrating every move I made. "He's trying to close the garage door. Now he's walking toward me." The absurdity might have been laughable if it weren't for the sudden flash of red and blue lights turning onto my street. 2 police cruisers rolled up, lights bouncing off the row of pristine houses. Curtains fluttered as neighbors peeked out. Karen's eyes lit up like she'd just summoned the cavalry. "Over here! The thief's trying to run!" I wasn't running. I was frozen, heart pounding, realizing just how fast an innocent morning could turn into a nightmare. Both officers stepped out, hands resting near their holsters. One of them called out firmly, "Sir, step away from the vehicle. I can explain." "Step away now." Karen practically beamed. "Told you. Caught." Him red-handed, but then something shifted. One officer, taller with a badge reading Harris, leaned over the windshield to check the VIN. He exchanged a quick glance with his partner, Ramirez. A look that wasn't quite alarm, but wasn't buying Karen's theatrics either. Still, the tension was thick. Ramirez kept his eyes locked on me. "Sir, mind telling me how you came into possession of this vehicle?" "My brother rebuilt it," I answered. "I've got the title and paperwork inside the house." Before I could move, Karen shrieked, "Don't let him go in there! He'll hide the evidence!" Ramirez gave her a tired look, the kind seasoned officers reserved for neighborhood troublemakers. "Ma'am, we'll handle the investigation." Karen huffed, arms crossed like she'd been robbed of her director's chair. Harris straightened from the VIN. "Dispatch says it's registered to a Matthew Clark." "That's my brother!" I jumped in quickly. "He signed it over to me yesterday." Karen's voice hit another octave. "Oh, please! He's making up names now. My Lexus went missing last week. It was this color, this size. He probably painted it." The leap in logic was so wild I almost laughed. "Karen, your Lexus is a completely different make and model." "Don't you talk to me, thief!" she snapped. Harris gestured for me to lead the way. "If you've got that paperwork..." "Sir, now's the time." Karen shadowed us, muttering under her breath. "Watch! He's got forged documents. Criminals always do." I headed straight to the kitchen counter where I'd left a manila folder from the DMV. Inside was the crisp title transfer form, my signature, Matthews, and yesterday's date stamped across it. Insurance paperwork was tucked neatly in the envelope. Harris flipped through, eyebrows lifting slightly as the pieces lined up. He showed Ramirez, and the two shared another look. This one far calmer than before. "Everything matches," Harris murmured. But outside, Karen was far from done. She was already on another call, not with 911 this time, but with Bob, the HOA vice president. Yes, Bob. They're here, but they're not listening to me. I need the board down here immediately. Ramirez's jaw tightened. Ma'am, we're not here for the HOA. If the vehicle's registered properly, there's no theft. Karen stabbed a finger at a faint scratch on the driver's side door. That wasn't there last night. He must have done it while stealing it. The officers shared yet another silent exchange, the kind that said, "This is neighborhood theater now." But before they could wrap things up, the low rumble of an engine pulled everyone's attention. A black SUV with the HOA logo screeched to a stop, angled like it was conducting a blockade. Out stepped Bob in a blazer despite the heat, flanked by two board members like backup dancers. Karen rushed to them like reinforcements had finally arrived. "There he is! That's the man who stole my car." Bob scanned the scene, his eyes landing on me with a mix of suspicion and resignation, as if Karen had dragged him into one of her circus acts before. "Let's keep this civil," Bob said evenly. "Mr. Clark," I explained, holding up the paperwork. "This is my car. I have the title, registration, insurance, everything checks out." Karen jabbed a finger at the Pontiac again, ready to double down. "She's lying." Karen's voice cut through the air like a siren. "You know my Lexus disappeared last week. Same color, same nothing," I interrupted, my patience thinning. "Different make, different model, different year. This isn't even close." Ramirez stepped between us, his tone measured but firm. "We've already confirmed this vehicle is legally registered. Unless the HOA has actual evidence of theft, this is a police matter, not a board meeting." Bob, the HOA vice president, raised a hand as if he were the judge in a courtroom. "We take property disputes seriously." "This isn't a property dispute," Harris cut in sharply. "It's a false theft report, possibly wasting police resources." That word, false, hung heavy in the air. Karen's eyes went wide. "You think I'd lie to the police?" No one answered. The silence spoke louder than words. Bob cleared his throat, trying to redirect. "Regardless of ownership, the HOA does have rules about vehicle appearance and driveway storage. This Pontiac doesn't exactly fit the neighborhood aesthetic." I almost laughed. "So now the problem is the aesthetic?" Karen smirked. "See? He doesn't respect the rules." Ramirez rubbed his temples, clearly done with the circus. "This isn't why we're here." But the HOA board members were already whispering, forming a little suburban tribunal. I caught fragments. Special vote. Fine. Compliance notice. Finally, Bob straightened. "If you can't store the vehicle in your garage, we'll issue a daily fine until it's removed." I gestured toward the wide-open garage behind me. "It's in the garage right now. You all showed up before I could close it." Karen jabbed a triumphant finger at me. "See? He was going to hide it." Harris exhaled slowly, like he'd reached the end of his rope. "We're closing this call unless you have concrete proof, ma'am." Karen's grin returned. "Oh, I've got something better than proof. I have footage." The words landed like a thunderclap. Even the officers hesitated. The HOA board leaned in. Neighbors who had been peeking through blinds now pretended to check their mailboxes, drifting closer. Karen held her phone like it was the smoking gun. "Let's see him explain this." With theatrical precision, she tapped her screen. Everyone huddled. The officers, the board, the curious onlookers. Everyone wanted to see. "There," she said proudly, holding the phone toward Bob first. "That's him. Same car, same color, same garage." My chest tightened as I leaned closer. On the screen, a grainy night vision clip played. Around 11 p.m., a figure parked a dark-colored car in a driveway. The person stepped out wearing a baseball cap and jacket, then quickly rolled something into the garage. "That's not me," I said firmly. Karen scoffed. "Oh, please! You expect us to believe two people in this neighborhood just happen to own the same car?" "It's not the same car," I countered. "And that footage doesn't even show the model clearly." Harris took the phone and replayed the video, his expression narrowing as he studied it. Where was this recorded from? My Ring camera, Karen said proudly. It faces my driveway, but it caught his too. Lucky, right? Bob crossed his arms. Looks convincing enough. Convincing if you ignore basic details, I shot back. First, the timestamp says Thursday night. I didn't even have the car until Friday. Second, look closely at the porch light in the background. That's not my house. That's the Jacksons. Ramirez leaned in, scrutinizing the clip. He's right. That's a split level with white trim. Your house is two-story blue siding. Karen's confident smile faltered. Well, maybe he drove it to the Jacksons first. I shook my head. Karen, your car wasn't stolen. That video isn't my property, and it sure isn't me. Bob looked irritated now, caught between Karen's dramatics and the officer's growing skepticism. Ma'am, Harris said, voice sharp, do you have any footage that actually shows him? Karen hesitated. Not exactly, but the point is, Harris cut in, we're done here. Unless you have direct evidence linking him to a crime, you're dangerously close to filing a false report. A murmur rippled through the small crowd. Karen's reputation as the neighborhood's self-appointed enforcer was well known, but seeing her cornered this badly was rare. Still, her eyes darted back to the phone. Fine. If the police won't handle it, the HOA will. You'll be hearing from our legal committee. Bob gave a reluctant nod and motioned the other board members away. The officers returned my documents. You're clear, sir, Harris said. Sorry for the trouble. Karen stalked off, muttering under her breath. But the way she glanced back at me, I knew it wasn't over, and I was right. By nightfall, she'd escalated in a way none of us expected. That evening, a heavy thud hit my front door. When I opened it, a thick envelope sat on the porch. Urgent. HOA Legal Committee was stamped across the front in bold red ink. Inside, the papers were absurd. A formal notice accusing me of possessing stolen property, demanding I remove my vehicle. Within 72 hours, or face maximum fines and legal action. Karen's fingerprints were all over this. Instead of panicking, I grabbed my phone and called Matthew. Still have those photos from yesterday? He chuckled. Every single one. Title transfer, insurance papers, and, oh, don't forget the shot of us at the DMV holding the keys. Perfect, I said. Time to invite some guests. The next morning, I called for an emergency HOA meeting, a right every member had. When the board gathered, Karen sat front and center, arms folded, that smug smile plastered on her face. Let's get this over with. Bob sighed. I placed a thick manila folder on the table. Before we begin, I'd like to enter evidence. Into the record. Karen rolled her eyes. We're not a courtroom. Then you won't mind if I share this with everyone. I spread out the photos across the table. One showed the official title transfer dated after the timestamp on Karen's video. Another showed Matthew handing me the keys in broad daylight. Both of us grinning outside the DMV, gasps spread through the room. And here, I said, holding up a map printout, is the exact location from Karen's Ring footage. Not my house, not my street, the Jacksons. Who, by the way, confirmed they've been parking a friend's car there while he's out of town. Bob's eyes narrowed at Karen. Is this true? Karen stammered. Well, I thought you accused a neighbor of theft. I cut in, called 911, wasted police time, and tried to force me out of the neighborhood with false claims. Bob turned to her, his voice cold. Karen, as per HOA bylaws, that's harassment. And since police were involved, you could be facing legal consequences outside this board. The smug smile was gone. 2 weeks later, Karen was no longer HOA. President? The board issued me a formal apology, waived my HOA fees for the year, and, in a delicious twist of irony, fined Karen for conduct unbecoming of a board member. As for the Pontiac, it still sits polished in my garage. And sometimes, I leave the door open just a little longer than necessary, just enough for Karen to catch a glimpse of it gleaming. If you think HOA Karen took things way too far, hit that subscribe button so you never miss the next jaw-dropping story. Smash that like button if you believe justice was served, and tell me in the comments. What would you do if someone called 911 on you for stealing your own car?